E-commerce sales are up 44% just last year alone. There's so much opportunity in e-commerce right now, but where do you start? So in this video, Mike McClary and I are going to talk about two of the most popular models, Amazon FBA and dropshipping. So first off, let's talk about dropshipping. A few of the advantages, if you don't understand what the business model is, basically it's somebody can order from your store or on Amazon, which Mike will talk about in a second. And then basically when you get that order from the customer, you send that off to a manufacturer and then they send the inventory from that order directly to the customer. So biggest advantage of this whole system is that you don't have to purchase any inventory up front in most cases. So there are low startup costs, which is why a lot of people talk about this thing. And that, in my opinion, is probably the biggest advantage. Low startup costs, easy to get started. There's different places you can sell these kind of products, a lot of different kinds of products you can sell. And this is one of the big reasons why dropshipping has become so popular. However, there are some big disadvantages. So maybe Mike, talk about some of the disadvantages on the Amazon side.
Yeah, so I know you've done dropshipping off of Amazon before, but I've worked with a lot of sellers who use Amazon to get their sales and then to do the drop shipping where they actually have the product sent from someone else. The big disadvantage, it's kind of two disadvantages. One, you won't be using Amazon FBA. And as we have known as an FBA seller for a long time, you get an immediate ranking boost when you're selling products that are stored at Amazon's warehouses and also are shipped by Amazon. That's called Amazon Fulfillment by Amazon. Now, when you're doing drop shipping, you can't do that because you're using another fulfillment company in order to send that product to your customer. So there's kind of one disadvantage right there. You're not going to get as much traffic. The second one is Amazon has some very strict guidelines about what you need to do in order to be able to drop ship products because they don't want people going out there and just randomly selling stuff that they're buying virtually online through another company. It doesn't even know they're doing it and send it to their customer. They want to make sure that Amazon's customers are treated like Amazon treats their customers. So what that means, if you're doing drop shipping on Amazon and you're having another company ship the product to your end customer, it has to be very clear in the receipt that's included in the product that you're the seller. If you're buying this product from a warehouse and it's sent out there, you have to work out a deal so they know it's me, Mike McClary, my company's doing the selling of this product, even though they're shipping it, and that has to be included inside the receipt of the package. If you don't do that, Amazon can shut you down pretty quickly, but it still is a viable business, like I said, for people who don't have a lot of startup funds.
Yeah, and so like Mike said, 12 years ago or so, I started in dropshipping. That was literally my first business, the first way I got into e-commerce for the most part. My biggest issue with dropshipping today, and we're going to talk about Amazon FBA and why we think this kind of model is a little bit better. But my biggest issue is you're, in most cases, not building as valuable of a brand. And typically with dropshipping, there's some different models now where you can kind of like almost private label products on demand. But in most cases, you're selling other people's existing brands of products. And so you're not building your own valuable brand. I mean, we're seeing in this market that people are able to, if you build a brand, you can end up selling it a few years down the road for anywhere from 2 to 5 times annual profit. It's going to be harder to sell a purely dropshipping focused business because you're selling the same products as everyone else. Versus Amazon FBA, which we'll talk about now, that one you actually do own the brand when you build it the way that we typically teach. So Mike, maybe explain a little bit about what are people even talking about when they say Amazon FBA?
Yeah, Amazon FBA or private label, kind of known, the same type of business known by two different names, is when you sell a common product similar to dropshipping, but you create an entire brand around it. Now, it's actually pretty easy to do. There are hundreds of thousands of suppliers who make products. They probably make products for some of the biggest companies in the world, but they want to find other sellers, more sellers who want to sell their product under their own brand. And creating your own brand is as simple as coming up with a brand name. You can also come up with a logo or pay someone, 10, 20 bucks, create a logo, and then you can put it on the product and also on the packaging for your product. And therefore, if you're selling something like a flashlight or a sleeping bag, all you need to do is put one little label on that product and you've turned it into your brand. It may physically be the same product that drop shippers or other people sell, but because it's your brand, you're building an asset out of that. And as another thing, there's another big advantage of this business model, and I did mention before, private labeling has much higher profit margins. When you're drop shipping, you're kind of usually going through either, the manufacturer selling to you a product that they also sell directly, or you might be buying from a distributor who's taking a cut as well. When you're private labeling, you go straight to the manufacturer who makes the physical product, and their business model is all around finding people to brand their products so you can buy it much cheaper and sell it for a higher margin and get a much higher profit margin as well. And as you build that brand, you start selling it more on Amazon with higher profit margins. That's where you really have the ability to create more cash flow and, like Matt said, you're building an asset that you can sell for 2 to 5 times annual cash flow as well.
Now, disadvantages of Amazon FBA. First off is the startup cost. It's, back in the day, you may have been able to get started with, a few $100 or something in inventory and kind of ramp up from there. And maybe that can still happen. But in most cases, I mean, what is the average startup cost we typically see with people?
I'd say anywhere from like $2,000 to $5,000. Five is plenty to get as much inventory as you want to. But if you start with around 2, you can generally get, many hundreds of products. Like try to get around 500 units of products. Gives you enough to start selling, launch your products at a discount, and then continue selling for the first month or two, while you then use those profits to fund your second order, so you don't have to put more cash into it. Also, mentioned that with being able to go out there and you have to fund your first inventory order, you do have to do a couple of other things as well with private labeling, and that's to create your brand. Now, people might feel overwhelmed by that. It's really not that difficult to do. It's as simple as thinking of your product and the people that buy it, and then brainstorming some ideas for brand ideas. And then you can pretty simply go online, check and make sure no one has that website, make sure no one has the Twitter account or Instagram account. You can also easily check for trademarks as well. Those things are just one-time deals. Once you come up with the brand name, do those checks, and then you can get that brand as yours, start selling on Amazon, and you don't have to do that work all over again. The packaging may take, maybe a few days to weeks to come up with. But again, that time spent creating your brand and packaging for private label pays off in the end with higher profit margins and the asset that you're building.
Yeah, so one kind of advantage here with Amazon FBA or private labeling, you're creating a brand from scratch that nobody's ever heard of. So you have to find a way to actually get in front of customers, get them to trust your brand, which we have a whole process we walk people through on how to do that on Amazon, how to target the right keywords, how to rank for them, how to build trust with your product page and your listing and getting reviews and creating a whole high quality appearance for people. And so that is a little bit of a disadvantage for Amazon FBA. So after we've kind of talked about these two different opportunities, dropshipping and Amazon FBA or private label, what is our recommendation? I think it's pretty safe to say both of us are pretty big proponents of Amazon FBA because, maybe if you only have $100 in your bank account and you literally don't have the money to go out there and spend a couple grand on inventory for creating your own brand, maybe in that case, you're better off doing dropshipping. But as long as that's not the issue, the only main advantage I see with dropshipping is the lower startup cost. Everything else to me is in favor of Amazon FBA. You have bigger upside potential, you're building a more valuable brand, you have higher profit margins, you have more control over that brand because you own it. You can sell it on Amazon, and if Amazon ever causes a problem, you can sell it on Shopify, you can sell it on Walmart, you can sell it in retail stores, you can sell it wherever you want. You don't have the same restrictions as if you're selling somebody else's brand who's going to tell you where you sell it, how much you sell it for, and everything else. And so, we could teach you the one of these models if we want to, but there's a reason we focus on Amazon FBA or private label because we think the disadvantages are far outweighed by the advantages of that business.
Absolutely, and we haven't even talked about marketing products. When it comes to drop shipping, you can very seldom use Amazon's own internal advertising platforms, which have blown up over the past couple of years. That's probably one of the second to third biggest profit generators for Amazon now is their advertising. You can't use those when you're drop shipping. If you're selling someone else's product, they're not going to let you advertise those. But if you create your own brand, you can use Amazon's own internal advertising systems to get your product out there immediately from day one in front of their hundreds of millions of customers in order to get that visibility and get those sales, which is another huge reason why I personally like Amazon FBA and private labeling much better than dropshipping.
Yep, so that's our recommendation. So what we'd like you to do now is go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're releasing more content on how to build a successful e-commerce business. And also, we've put together a guide on the top passive income sources. So click the link in the description below, get access to that. It's 100% free. You'll discover information about, real estate, Amazon FBA, about dropshipping and more. So get that right below this video. Click the link in the description. It's 100% free. Subscribe to our channel and we'll see you in the next video.